The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Isn't that simply spooky sounding?
It does. So, and do you have sex with men now?
I dated men and I dated women. And there's a phrase I think I shared with your assistant or your producer, sapiosexual.
Yeah, what is that?
That's falling in love with someone's mind. It's falling in love with someone's heart. And I guess falling in love with their body thirdly, but that's not the first thing. I like a good mind and I like a good heart.
Do you have sex with the mind?
Metaphorically.
Let me ask, when the last time you had sex with someone's mind? Someone's mind or intellect?
So I don't really think of it that way.
Do you use a condom for that? I'm joking.
Yes, guys, welcome to Cultural War. This interview was very hilarious, and of course, Jesse exposed this Buddhist monk for who he truly is. But you know, guys, you need to watch it for yourself. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get more videos like this. So without further ado, as usual, let's dive in.
Welcome to the Fallen State. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. I want to know, is it possible to have inner peace? My guest today is Lama, Jigme, Gyatso. Pretty close, right?
Pretty close.
And he called himself a liberal, controversial Buddhist monk, healer, and meditation teacher. Thank you so much for being with me.
You're totally welcome.
I have so many questions for you. My first question is, why do you wear those clothes rather than normal clothes?
As a Buddhist teacher, wearing this uniform makes me more available to those who are looking for help. One time I was on public transportation, we had a pullover, some poor fellow was having a seizure. While we were waiting for the paramedics to come, I was able to make my way through the crowd, let me through, I'm a priest, and lay hands on him and soothe him a little bit. And everyone was very comfortable with that. It also alerts the haters, which is less than fun. There's been times when I've meditated on the corner of a busy intersection, when people are on their way to work and they get to see something positive, And I've had cops pull me over. And this uniform helped a great deal.
Okay. My audience will want to know why you're sitting on a box and not on a chair.
Okay, several reasons. One, as a professional contemplative, who on a good day meditates and chants 6 to 8 hours a day, this is how I spend my life.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm just much more comfortable and resourceful in this position. Also, with my arthritis and my injuries, this is the way I'm, once again, most resourceful in the sitting position.
Did you bring the box?
This is your box. Your staff cobbled it together.
I know.
And by the way, thank you, cobblers.
Why the candles?
Because your staff felt it would really be pretty.
Are we as human beings in a fallen state?
Well, that would depend very much upon one's definition of fallen. Would you please share your definition with me?
Of falling away from God.
Okay. Funny thing about emotions is they're like a bus. Every 20 minutes another one comes along.
Right.
And so there are times when we can feel very connected with the divine. There are times when we can feel very alienated from the divine.
How about you? Are you in a fallen state?
With God?
Yes.
I'm really not, I don't really think in those terms. And I want to be sensitive to you. My understanding is that you're approaching spirituality from a Christian point of view.
But don't be sensitive to me.
Would you say it's a fundamentalist Christian point of view or more of a liberal Christian point of view?
Me?
Yes.
I'm very conservative.
Okay. So one of the passages I love in the New Testament is in 1 John, where we read, and I paraphrase, let the Spirit do its work, or do His work. And in Tibetan Buddhism, the idea of being led by the Spirit or being guided by the Dharmakaya is very common. In fact, there's a tapestry of a man with unruly hair like mine, going like this, and he's listening to the whisperings. There was a time earlier in my life when I would have described myself as a complete slave to fear and rage. And at that time, I didn't know how to tune in.
So are you saying you're not in a fallen state?
See, once again...
Can you give me a yes or no? I'm black and I'm slow.
No, don't be silly.
I just found out that you're Jewish.
Yes.
So you are a Jew who is a liberal, controversial Buddhist monk. How did that happen to you?
That's a long story. When I was a kid, I had the mixed blessing of having a rather tragic familial experience. Lots of physical abuse, just about every type of abuse. So I was a pretty miserable kid, but with anger and fear and sorrow just beat me up. And so I was always looking for magic. And I would view spirituality as practical magic. And I explored different facets of Judaism, different facets of Christianity, different facets of New Ageism, different facets of Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism, and the like. I knew I was a miserable kid. I didn't want to be a miserable kid. And so I was always searching for something.
Right. Who put you through so much pain? What caused it as a youth?
That's tough to say. My late mother was troubled. My stepfather, my late stepfather, very troubled.
What was your father, your natural father?
My stepfather was overbearing and domineering and demeaning, and he intimidated my birth father.
Really?
And that's all I know. I don't know much about it. My birth father passed on before I got a chance to actually meet him. So all I had was hearsay from my late mother.
You teach meditation, right?
I
You are
do.
a meditation teacher. What type of meditation do you teach?
I teach primarily from Buddha's larger meditation manual in Pali. It's known as the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. It doesn't require faith. It doesn't involve mysticism. It doesn't involve magic.
So let me ask you,
very straightforward.
So you wake up in the morning, you go into your meditation room, and then you do what?
Schedule permitting, I begin by chanting about 30 minutes worth of the Tao Te Ching. And
Can you give me an example of that? A small example?
Well, I could chant some for you if you wish.
Right, that's what I mean.
Okay, Leah. I've got it on my trusty iPhone because it's easier to carry one phone than 15 books.
Oh, okay.
The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize a mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. Isn't that simply spooky sounding?
It does. So this is what you're saying all the time while sitting, or
no? It's I would call that a preparatory practice. I would do that for a half hour,
right.
and then I spend about 60 minutes doing a formal meditation.
Oh, okay. So what good does it do you to meditate like this?
Right. The liberation that's promised in the scriptures that I work with is not necessarily liberation from unpleasant things, but a liberation from the tyranny of unpleasant things. So let's face it, any chump can be happy when everything goes his way. What separates the men from the boys is the ability to cope and be fluid and even joyful and peaceful when you don't get what you want.
Are you a man?
I'd like to think so.
And what is a man?
A man feels the same spectrum of the full spectrum of human emotions, but he's not a slave to them. And he's able, in the midst of his experience, he maintains a modicum of self-control, a modicum of compassion, and a modicum of insight.
Do you feel like a man or a woman?
That's a good question. I wouldn't know. In this lifetime, I've only been a man. So I have no frame of reference of what it feels like to be a woman, although I suspect it's harder to be a woman than a man just because men, such as myself, can be idiots.
Are women smarter than men?
Some subjectively, to me, it definitely feels that way at times.
In what way?
I'd say that when men experience genius, it tends to be for one or two specific things, or three at the most. I found that women's genius is spread over more things at more times. And my lineage is tantric. My lineage is tantric, and so I have a tantric partner. I personally benefit greatly from being in partnership with a woman. I really feel that our gifts complement each other and that we make an excellent team. I'm currently in a fantastic relationship where we each have our own strengths and our weaknesses, and we support each other.
Are you married?
No, I am not.
When you say partnership, are you like living with a person? Are you living with a man or a woman?
I'm living with a lovely lady.
Is that the right thing to do?
I believe it is.
And why?
Well, you got me to use the believe word. So here's the thing.
You said you believe.
Yes.
And earlier you said you didn't believe.
I didn't believe in the word
now
believe.
You're confusing me.
I know, I'm just terrible that way. There have been many lamas who dress just like me and taught just like me and also practice tantric arts with a partner. So I'm very progressive. I'm very, very liberal. And one of the patterns I see, and many other progressives see, is the dichotomy between patriarchy and matriarchy. Many years ago, when we lived in a primarily agrarian society, in a Bronze Age civilization.
You've been married before?
Of shepherds, where you may own a land or you may own goats, women were treated very much like property. And for my, where I'm at in my personal evolution, I want to shy away from that as much as possible, the idea of possession of a person.
So have you been married before?
I have been married before.
How many times? One. And did you feel as though you owned a goat?
Own a goat? That simply falls apart. I've never owned a goat. But
did you feel as though you owned your ex-wife?
What I felt was when she wanted to part ways.
I see. So your first wife left you?
That is correct.
Why?
That's tough to say. We tell each other.
What did she tell you? Because sometimes, what did she tell you? Why? She said, "I'm leaving you, Mr. Buddha, because."
She expected me to build a career as a hypnotherapist. I chose instead to pursue a career as a meditation teacher. Over the years of the marriage, as I learned how to gently and respectfully assert myself and say, no, I don't think so.
You gave her that expectation, though, when you met her and married, that this is the life you're going to have, but you changed along the way?
Personal growth was profoundly important to me. And anyone who's ever dated me gets that I really want to evolve.
Do you have children?
I don't.
Oh, good. I read that you say that you're bisexual too?
Yes. But I'm not a very good bisexual.
Not a very good one.
No, I prefer women.
But you mess around with men and women?
In the past, I experimented with that.
So in the past, you had sex with men? And do you have sex with men now?
No.
Why not?
There was a time when I was exploring, seeking relationships, and I dated men and I dated women. And there's a phrase I think I shared with your assistant or your producer, sapiosexual.
Yeah, what is that?
That's falling in love with someone's mind. It's falling in love with someone's heart. And I guess falling in love with their body thirdly, but that's not the first thing. I like a good mind and I like a good heart.
Do you have sex with the mind?
Metaphorically.
Really?
Metaphorically, a good conversation is very intimate.
So would you feel that way about men and women if you fell in love with their mind?
Well, my crystal ball is in the shop. In the past, I felt that way about men and women.
Right. So let me ask, when you were having sex with men, did the women know that you were having sex with men? Did you tell the ladies?
Yeah, I'm an open book.
You said, hey, I mess around with men, and would they have a problem with that?
I've found in the past that when telling a prospective love interest of my bisexual tendencies or proclivities, there was 3 categories of responses. One was disgust, one was feeling threatened, and one was feeling really excited. In the past, I dated 2 women who were like super enthusiastic to have a bisexual threesome with me.
Really? Did you ever have like a one-on-one relationship with a man?
For sure, I tried to.
Really? So are you a homosexual?
I would describe myself as a man who's explored his bisexual tendencies. And he's currently in love with and involved in a heterosexual relationship.
What would happen if that desire for a man came up while being in a relationship now? Would you leave the woman and go be with the man?
That's an excellent question, and the answer is you can be in a relationship with a woman and see another woman and you develop a crush on her and yet choose strategically to do nothing about that crush.
Right. Let me ask, when the last time you had sex with someone's mind? Someone's mind or intellect?
So I don't really think of it that way.
Do you use a condom for that? I'm joking. You said that you're very vulnerable. That's something that a woman would say. Do your woman know that you are a vulnerable man?
I think anyone who converses with me for more than 30 seconds can tell I'm vulnerable.
But isn't that a weakness, though? I mean, especially for a man, being vulnerable is a weakness, and you normally hear women say that, oh, I'm just so vulnerable. A man is strength, and he's there for his vulnerable woman. If you are feeling that way, aren't you feeling like a woman?
Well, once again, I haven't been a woman in this life, so I wouldn't know. But in the West, we've been sold a dichotomy. Little boys are raised, big boys don't cry, and we're told, because of the gender we're born with, we have to feel a certain way.
But that's not raised to be that way. That's natural for boys. It's in their nature to be strong.
That is debatable.
And it's in the nature of a female to be a female. Why did you leave? Did you desert being a Jew? Or Judaism? Did you desert that?
Well,
yes.
It depends who you ask.
No, I'm asking you. Did you?
Great. So here's how I would answer that. Of the non-Asian meditation teachers, 2 around on the earth right now, the most prolific are Jews. So if you ask, what makes a man a Jew? Does wearing a yarmulke and a tefillin make someone a Jew, or is a Jew a racial thing? Because I have a big nose and an affinity for bagels, or or what makes a man a Jew? Is being a child of Abraham me being vulnerable to the Holy Spirit?
What made you a Jew when you were a Jew?
Being vulnerable to, whether you call it Dharmakaya or Holy Spirit or Tao, being vulnerable to that. In fact, if I remember correctly, In the New Testament, we are told that the church is the bride of Christ. And we must be vulnerable to the urgings of the Holy Spirit.
And who is God?
That doesn't really enter into my metaphysics.
Really? And do you believe in Jesus Christ? Well, I know you don't believe.
That does not enter into my metaphysics.
Oh, okay.
So
how about good and evil? Is there good and evil?
Where humility embraces vulnerability, hubris embraces defensiveness. And one of the ways we fix the blame outside ourselves is by blaming it on an etheric entity, or a celestial being, or a fallen celestial being.
So you don't believe there's good and evil?
It isn't that I believe in it or believe in it, it's just that I've got my hands full working on me. And I can see we live in an interdependent universe and there are outside influences. Everything affects everything, but...
But because you're not answering my question, I don't understand what you're saying.
You're a smart guy. I think you need to give yourself the benefit of the doubt.
Let me ask this. You have back pain right now, right?
I do.
Why? And you're a healer.
I do.
Why don't you heal yourself?
Well, that's an excellent question. And I will, like a Jew, I will answer your question with a question. How many thoracic surgeons do you know who perform their own bypass?
But I don't know, but why don't you heal? You can't heal yourself, but you can heal others?
Sometimes.
But not yourself?
Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't.
Oh, I see, but not of the back pain.
A wise man can recognize his limitations without being threatened by them.
Did you have fun?
It's been very invigorating.
You want some Tylenol?
No thanks, Tylenol makes me cranky. Oy vey.